and we are live. So you are the moderator. We are on Chakra TV. I think you take us away on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually it just starts like a normal convo, man. Welcome
Yeah.
to Chakra TV.
Yep.
Last time, see what? Friday, we're on Molly Town. As usual, I'll start with and I'll end with saying like, subscribe, share. You can start sharing now so that others can join on the conversation. Yeah, today we have a couple of things to talk about. I think there is the whole PASCAL situation, but most especially, I think the highlight is going to be around the Jovi interview he did. Jovi always steals the show somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, other people can do their thing the whole week, and then just about when we're about to
come live.
Jovi just jumps in and steals
steal everything.
Kanye vibe to just come and disrupt everything.
Exactly.
So he has that spirit of disrupting other people's shine for a while.
So the last time we had a podcast, I wasn't feeling well. This time I feel better now.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, not 100%, but at least I'm 90%. Yeah, we can goof around and we can. Yeah, so I'm good now. So yeah, if you're watching us for the first time, or if you're new to Contrast Podcast, subscribe to Chakra TV. Though we'll be having another edition on every Friday on Molly Town. Subscribe and if you're watching us now, like the video. Because when you like the video, you tell YouTube the conversation may be helpful, or you like the show, or the show is great, so YouTube may recommend it to more people in your location. If it is Cameroon, they recommend it to more guys like you who watch similar videos like you. So just like the video. It helps a lot. It helps the show, it helps the channel, it helps everything we do a lot. Okay, so yeah, today I don't know where we'll start. Are we starting with Jovi or Askia and then we jump to Jovi? Okay.
I think let's go with Jovi because the leftover, depending on the time we have, we might talk on the others.
Okay, so I did not see the interview completely, okay? But I did not see the interview completely. The full interview, unless did you see it?
Yeah.
You saw the whole thing.
I watched what was like the preview, then went and watched the full.
No, but the full one on the guy's channel, the full one on the guy's.
Seriously.
What?
I said I'm really taking my journalism skills seriously.
Yeah. Okay. I think I need to flip this shit. Okay, I saw the clip.
So the guy's name is
who?
Live the Fidjil.
Yeah, no.
The Fidjil. That's the YouTuber's name. Yeah.
I know, but I saw the clip, right?
It was like a preview thing.
Yeah, but when I went to his channel, I did not see the interview. I saw was part one. The part where he called Magasco, PASCAL, Maahlox, and all these guys wasn't there. That's on the part two.
So
I believe that one was
with the round via 237.
What?
237 had a link of the full interview beneath.
Wait, but I went to the guy's channel and it wasn't there.
Okay, he might have saved it, partitioned something. I don't know. But I know I saw the link from 227, put like a summary of what he said, and then put a link below, like full interview link, and that's what I clicked and I watched the full interview.
Because I did not see it. I tried watching. I saw the interview, but it did not get to the part where he started calling all those guys' names.
Yeah. So, but when I watched it, I had some things in mind, which you can still talk on them, even if you have not watched the interview.
No, of course. Yeah.
One is a couple of things which Jovi raised, which I think he feels like it's an issue in the industry. Two, a couple of people he said they have crossed a certain line and there can be no reconciliation with him. They've been fighting with some of them.
Yeah, so, Maahlox.
I wanted us discuss. It's going to be a contrast vibe discussion of our take on each of these things. So the names he mentioned: Magasco, Stanley, Valsero, PASCAL, Maahlox.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll dissect those names one after the other. We start with
Exactly.
the conflict he has with each person, and from my point of view, I would say where the person thinks the conflict or misunderstanding is at, the level where they think it's at, and then the level where Jovi just made us understand to him is at.
Yeah. And also, I want to talk more on the direction of, because I don't like to comment on people's issue, but I comment on my perspective from the industry. Like, this is how the industry perceives it, and this might be a possible impact of this in the industry, a possible cause of this in the industry. I will not talk on anything personal because one, I don't know these guys personally. Yeah, so I do, So I'm just talking about like what the industry thinks and what we feel about this. It's not going to be anything personal. I don't know them. And I don't feel like I even have the right to be talking about their personal things. They might have personal things. But what blows up in the face of the industry and has causes and consequences in the industry, I feel like we have the right to talk about that.
No, but we only talk, and I especially, I only talk about things that these guys bring to my attention and wish they give room for a conversation.
No, that's some of the comments. I don't know if you usually read the comments under some of our discussions.
Not really.
Yeah, I go and read comments.
Sometimes I start reading comments.
Some people, I don't know if they're family members, they take some of these discussions so personally and they're like, how can you say this man does not have money to you? Like he has this,
no, they are those diehard fans. They are those guys we were those guys before.
About some of these things based on the industry. And even I always say some of the cases where I even know personal things, I'm not going to talk about those things here. Because this is not the place or time to talk about personal things. So even when I have behind the scene personal discussion, I'm not going to talk about anything which the person did not put on Facebook. I'll talk about things that are maybe on Facebook, we saw on YouTube, they said an interview. I'm not talk about something which we had in a one-on-one conversation, because I also have some of this behind the scenes discussion because I'm also somehow in the industry. So I cannot talk about those things. So I'll just be talking about things which have been on Facebook, how it has played out in the media, what you said online in an interview here. That vibe. So it's a good disclaimer to just have, so that whenever people want to come, I'm like, man, this is what I said in the beginning of this conversation.
Well, I don't give it. If in case, like for example, if I happen to read a comment that comes that way, sometimes I don't know. I don't give a fuck. The way I don't give two fucks about all those comments and all those things. I reply you the way I'm feeling that day.
Don't be worried. I have a soldier of replies.
Yeah, I don't give to like if I feel
somebody under one chakra thing and the person that deleted his comment and I'm not asking like why did you delete it, now it makes me look like a bad guy.
Okay, see, if I'm feeling charitable that day, I'll just be passive. But if I'm feeling like if I'm having a great day, then okay, we'll jump into the mud together and duke it out.
Most people don't want to meet my unpolitically correct side.
No, I don't care politically or not. I just give you the way I feel that day. If I don't just want to drag it that day, I just move past. But that day, if I want to drag it, depending on the way the comment strikes me, I just I give it the way it is.
So take your share, carry and go.
Yes, I give it the way it is.
Okay.
Because
So as we gave the back to this discussion, the back end to this discussion is Jovi did an interview on the YouTube channel, Live the Fidjil, and he touched a couple of things. And you know, I always say I like Jovi as Jovi. I don't want to be. There are two things. I feel like if I meet Jovi and then he has a TV personality and a behind the scene personality, because I have that kind of double personality too. The person who I like to be in my house, I have an how do they even call it?
Extrovert personality.
And introvert personality, depending on when and where. So if I meet his ex, I'm assuming that the only way I can be good with Jovi on a personal basis is if he has an introvert personality and an extrovert personality like myself. Because I feel like my extrovert will rhyme with his extrovert, but my introvert is not going to rhyme with his extrovert, what I'm seeing. So and most of the time, most of these artists, even when I've seen him a couple of times where I'm in a position where I would have spoken with him, and all these industry things. But I just decided to stay away. I don't, because I feel like how can I call it? The respect, the value, the experience that I had with his songs, I will lose a part of it if maybe I come in contact with him and it's not what I expect.
Oh, yeah. Is that same saying where people say scared of meeting your idol? That you don't want to meet your idol because you may be scared of destroying the perception you have of them.
I don't call it idol because for me it's not about the person. It's about the experience. I know, like most of the time I remember when I was in the university and we're out there in Europe and I used to support Obama. And then I remember one day, the day for the elections, I didn't sleep the whole night while they were counting the elections. One of my classmates came and was like, or schoolmates, she was from Cameroon and was sharing the flat. So she was like, "You're not sleep, what's happening? We have to go to school tomorrow. We are here suffering in Cyprus. Will Obama come and give you a visa to come to America?" And I'm like, it's not about Obama or giving me a visa. It's what his success represents to me.
Yeah, of course.
So it's not about the person. I don't want to care if you say that he stole from somebody somewhere, but what he has done, this journey represents something to me.
Yeah.
Same thing I tell about Eto. Forget about his scandals and everything. Just the fact that it represents like somebody from here can make it there. He also motivates that you two can now make it there. The fact that Jovi made it look more real, like, okay, things can happen in Cameroon industry. Even if he steals tomorrow, even if he's in prison tomorrow, it will not take away the fact that he made me feel that way at that time.
Okay, so what you're scared of? So what you're scared of is he gave you that perception that it's possible to succeed and it's possible to rap in Pidgin and make it in Cameroon. Sometimes people get scared of, okay, he gave us that perspective of life, of the way we view our industry, the way we view Cameroon and the way we view hip hop in Cameroon. What if I approach him and that perception is not a reality? Like, okay, he made those dope songs, he made all these songs that went on TV and all these places, but he's not successful. He's the same as I am. What? So how would I feel?
Like, man, this whole Boko system na scam.
Exactly. So I believe somebody's right in the dirt bike. So I believe that's one of the reasons, or maybe that was one of the fears you had that made you not to approach him. But I think he's good though. He's alright.
I just feel like I'd rather just know you like the artist. I don't want to know you personally. Because some of them I've met them and known them personally. And now it has messed up when I'm listening to that song now, it no longer has that same feel. That same feel,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had a couple of artists like that. I had a couple of
Yeah. If we make it should be halo high professionally, I don't want to be
Yeah, for example, like the late G-Rain, when I met him, like I had a perception when he came back from Nigeria, his quality of videos like was completely different from what we knew at that time, 2011, 2010. Like it was different. He just came back from Nigeria, like he had his concept, the way he conceptualized his videos and the way he shot his videos, it just made me had another perspective. Like this guy is on another level. Like if you meet this guy, when I finally met the guy, I was like, come on, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
also,
it was like,
you meet them, just like
it's like, man, I thought this, but I'm saying this, and I felt this.
I recall that was when, I don't know if it was 2013, Jovi. It was in one snack here, dressed just simple, looking, I mean, like I'm really tall though. So I was looking smaller and I was like,
Yeah, and Jovi's a short ass man.
I never think I've just come back from bank, so I really had my own things going.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, let him just be in that TV for me. It's okay.
Yeah, so Jovi short though. But withoutstanding, some people have money, but they still just prefer to live regular, and they prefer not to.
No, true.
Yeah, because for example, when I grew up in Bamenda, there was one man who owned a cité in Bambili. They called it the White House, one of the best cités in Bambili. The guy just came back. I think he came back from Malaysia or somewhere. He had a Hummer, but when you see the Hummer parks and you want to see the person that lives the Hummer is somebody with two rope slippers and short knicker living. He's the person who owned I think it's Manjong. No, not Manjong. One club that Fish worked there before when he started, one of the most popular clubs in Bamenda.
Okay,
So
I've heard Fish talk about that.
yeah, so
I've heard Fish talk about that.
that's the man who owns it. He owns all those things. Like, but when you see him in person, you just be like, "Nah, Barama, calm down." So it happens. Yeah. And sometimes it's humbling though.
Yeah,
It's not like it's humbling. It's amazing because it's you try to maintain a view, an outlook that you can sustain for a long time, or a reality which does not put enough extra pressure on you if you want to keep on living. You know, maybe you can live it, but you have to put extra effort just to keep on living it. You can, but sometimes it disrupts your natural way of life. Sometimes just the money is there, the money has its use. Invest it, take care of your family, look healthy and happy, but fuck the flashy shit.
So I mean, at times it's not even the simplicity. It's just that all of us are flawed somehow, and there are certain things when you know about somebody. Like, I cannot explain how much I've lost taste in R. Kelly's music. I remember even when all of these scandals went out, I was going to put out said people should not disturb. I was still listening to his music, but for some reason I've just lost taste in it.
Nah, I still like R. Kelly music. Anybody who thinks they can cancel me, I still like his music. The guy is a dope singer. He's dope.
But I feel some level of guilt when listening to it.
Why?
How do I even put it?
Why?
I listen to his lyrics now I'm always interpreting his lyrics like, is that what he was really saying? Like, when I listen to the Piper song, I had no problem singing that song when he talks about him, the Piper. When people break down some of his lyrics now, you start looking at it like, maybe this is what he was really saying.
People have always done that,
I want
though.
to be saying this too.
No, wait. People have always done that. Take, for example, the Illuminati thing when that CD was circulating all over Cameroon. That Illuminati this, Illuminati that this person. No. Listen, I understand.
Was based off some bullshit.
Yeah, I know it was based off some bullshit and he's locked up for it, and we even have evidence of all these things, but it doesn't mean everything he did is based off that. So he hasn't taken away anything for me.
That's what I'm saying. That when the whole thing came out, I said it doesn't take anything from him. He made nice music. I like it. But it has put a certain taste in my mouth when listening to it. I can't deny that if I'm being honest.
No, to me, nothing has changed.
Just for me, as I said, things rub people differently. It's just about me knowing myself and knowing that, okay. And I know that, okay, it might just be my own condition, it might be my own things in my head. But if those are my things in my head, those are my things in my head. There's nothing but that's me for you. So I just walk around life knowing that those are the things I have in my head.
Okay, let's jump into the topic of today.
So we take it one at a time.
Yeah, the first person he called was Maahlox.
Let's start with
Maahlox. Let's start with Maahlox, the person he called first. Let's just go the way he called it.
Okay.
Let's go with Maahlox, okay? Let's just give a rundown to everybody. Let me try to give a rundown as precise as I can and as short as possible for most guys who don't know, okay? How did this whole Maahlox and Jovi thing started? We all know in the beginning of all this, Maahlox and Jovi, we saw them back in 2016, 2015. They felt like they were getting along. They were great friends until Jovi would beat Maahlox up. Maahlox would beat Jovi up. When Jovi had that conflict with Stanley, Maahlox was going against Stanley and they felt like friends and all that. After that, what happened? The friction or the miscommunication or the confusion, because to me this whole thing between Jovi and Maahlox is, to me, from where I'm seeing it, I'm an outsider, let me clarify, from where I see it, is miscommunication and two men who have ego clashing. Jovi has the biggest ego in this industry, so I believe his ego is even the biggest part of it clashing. Maahlox too is another man who doesn't want to take.
I think that can be said for all his beef.
That's what I'm saying. That two men with ego, though it started as Maahlox, when they brought Techno. I always keep fucking the guy's name up and saying Techno. When they brought Techno to Cameroon and the Jovi show, we all can testify that the show was lit during Jovi's set. Okay, but the media, the amount he was paid got disclosed when he had an interview with somebody. I've forgotten the YouTuber's name. He had an interview and he said he was broke, and they called him from Cameroon. They gave him that money and he saved him because he was in debt and all that. And then when he said the amount, I think it was converted to franc CFA, so I think 100 and something million francs, right? And when you convert it to CFA, and Jovi, guys were saying Jovi was paid 6 million francs CFA? 6, right? And
I can't recall exactly the amount, but I know something like that. 6 to 5 or something.
Yeah, and 6 to 5 between that amount. And they said Kosi was paid 2, Minx was paid 2, Shura was paid 500, something like that, 500k. That amount. Yeah, so, and I was even shocked with the amount I heard most of those guys even called, because like I said, during that Johnny Walker show, I was part of like the organization, like the curation of the show, not organization, the curation of setting up the acts and say, okay, this guy can work with this. So with all that, we get paid. So when I hear the amount those guys receive for performing, I was shocked, you know. And I was in denial, like, I don't think that's the amount they pay those guys. That amount is too small. Because if I can be paid this amount, I don't think these guys can receive this amount. In my head, that was what I was thinking. So Maahlox went online and started saying, Jovi, that how can they bring a foreign artist to Cameroon? They give him a private, like, hotel. They gave him a car, like VIP treatment, but the guys back home, they just call them and give them not even 1/10 of the amount they gave the guy who came, the artists they are bringing to the country. And for a fact, and Maahlox's point was, for a fact, most of these guys at this show are late for Jovi, because even during the show, you can see the reaction in the crowd, both sets. Jovi's set was way more explosive than Techno's set. So Maahlox even said, and he believes that most guys came to this show for Jovi, but he received less, and said, how can they give these guys, this guy 5 million or 6 million, and they give this other guy 10 million, 100 million? These companies are taking our money, giving these foreigners, they'll go and spend it in their country and all that. So that information got to Jovi, and Jovi felt like, that's where I say ego plays. Jovi felt like Maahlox was using Techno, okay, to degrade him while calling their purses. He was, because mentioning their purses mean he's degrading Jovi. That's what Jovi, from his explanation, that's what he thought he made us understand, and that's why he made us understand that is in his mind. That how can Maahlox be calling my purse? What does my purse have to do with him? And he reiterated that the purse was higher than what Maahlox said it was, but he didn't disclose it, but he said it was higher. You understand? So his whole point was Maahlox was trying to use a Nigerian artist to degrade him, and was trying to say his value was less than that guy, and Maahlox was putting his mouth in his business and said he has never asked Maahlox how much he got paid for a show and all those things. That's where the misunderstanding came from. From our point of view, Maahlox was trying to help, and Maahlox was trying to point out injustice maybe in the country or in the entertainment scene or in the business side of the entertainment industry in Cameroon, that Jovi should have looked past Maahlox trying to compare their wages, Techno and Jovi's wage, and see the larger problem, the larger picture Maahlox was trying to paint. So when Jovi replied the way he did, Maahlox too is somebody with ego. He didn't try to explain himself again clearly to Jovi. He just said, okay, fuck you. If that's what you think and you look at me this way, you say this, okay, fuck you. So they are not a loggerhead. So if you ask me, Jovi Jovi misunderstood the whole point and made this problem something it wasn't supposed to be. So recently he had an interview and he said Maahlox threatened to beat him when they met. Right? Say Maahlox threatened to remove his teeth. Okay, no, it's Valsero who said he threatened to remove his teeth. Valsero said that, right?
No, he also said the same thing about Maahlox.
Yeah, he said to Maahlox that when they meet, he'll feel the energy, and because there are so many guys who have said that, and when they meet,
to remove his teeth, and then he hopes that when they meet, Maahlox is not going to start talking about we are brothers kind of thing. He hopes that Maahlox is really going to remove his teeth.
This one thing for a fact, okay? Jovi, that's my own point of view, right? In the Mboko gang guys, and also you guys are to the fingers and you guys are hard to fire and all that. Okay? I said this thing way back, even when he told Pascal to leave his show, if not, he'll fuck him up. Jovi wasn't gonna do shit. Okay? Even up to now, even when he meets Maahlox, Jovi ain't gonna do shit. Jovi can't do shit to Maahlox. Jovi is... We know he has ego and all these things, but to me, Jovi is also as much of a troll as most of these other artists. Jovi will say all these things, but he can't do it. He won't do shit. He can't even do shit to Maahlox. Nigga, you are like 5'4". You can't. Unless you say you have guys who jump Maahlox. Okay, we can understand, but Maahlox will have guys. Maahlox even have more bagandos than you. So,
you're not sure about that though.
I grew up in Mendong and I knew where Maahlox grew up and I know the guys Maahlox hang out with. Maahlox's house was just...
You know that
Maahlox's house.
Maahlox might have Mendong Bangandos. Jovi has national Bangandos behind him.
No, come on, man. Listen, Jovi ain't gonna do shit. This one is a fact. Okay, no, I can bet my money on it.
You to an extent, but to say so, like even when Jovi said this, I felt like okay, yeah, I don't think you are that powerful. And when he said
it's not that powerful, he's trolling. He's trying to make his hype.
He said when most people meet him, they see the energy with which he comes with. And I was like, when you say energy, what do you mean? Is it some spiritual force? Is it physical force? Is it some karate tai chi thing you know? Is it some gun power? Or is it your crew? And when I look at all of these things, the biggest or the most possible answer is maybe the crew he rolls with.
That's it.
The crew he rolls with.
That's the closest answer. Yeah.
Deep, though. It just depends who he's with when. His crew could be deep.
Yeah.
But now, banking off that crew, I mean, it's not like he has a gang that we know, or he has some guys on a payroll, like some bodyguards kind of thing. So I don't know if that's something.
And also,
if you go.
Also, thinking back of when I was in high school, right? We had a guy who came from Douala. The guy was very small, I think 5'3" or 5'4", like Jovi, very lanky and he never had the explosive or the physical strength, but he was violent. He was evil. Like, is that kind of a guy that you
call those guys
exactly. He was really evil. Like, you see the guy is very small. He's those kind of guys who, when you're talking with him, he has a blade.
On his head.
It's not like breaking a bottle on his head. It's just like he's evil, like wicked. It's somebody that you can be sleeping and he comes and slash you with a blade. That's what the kind of guys they were. Like, you can be talking with him, like you want to fight with him. He just come close to you. He always has a blade on him, a razor on him. So guys were always afraid of him because you don't know when he may harm you or cut you. But physically, you can just hold the guys. Like, you smack the guy, he'll die. But it was just the malice in his heart that made people afraid of him. That is somebody that can just do something that you don't expect. You may think he'll do it, but you don't know when he'll do it. You know, those were the kind of guys. So I think if Jovi is that kind of a person, I don't think if he meets Maahlox, because if you meet Maahlox, you're meeting somebody, you guys have a problem, right? You already know you're meeting this person like this, it's about to go down. So that kind of person has already lost his advantage because he's small. At that point in time, he's on. Unless the two of them just met and maybe Jovi may see Maahlox and Maahlox has not seen him, that's when he has an advantage. But if we see each other, you've lost your advantage already. So that's why I'm saying Jovi ain't gonna do shit.
Never can tell though. I mean, so Jovi saying what he's saying, it can be all bluff, but only he knows what he's counting on. I don't know what he's counting on. When he talks about
it's the same way
comes with what.
No, it's the same way I said nobody can touch me in Cameroon, right? It's the same way I said nobody can touch me in Cameroon, and you say you don't know what I'm counting on.
Yeah, no, I don't underestimate people so I can really evaluate them. So when you're in front
because
of
by the way, I'm not 5'4". I'm not 5'4". I'm 6'1". So yeah. I'm
By the time
not
I saw
sure.
them, I'm like, this is you. You don't have guards. You don't have any gun. We don't know that you know any taekwondo or tai chi something from somewhere. That I'm like, nigga, all that was bluff. Let's go. But till then, you never can tell because how heavy someone is willing to go for a battle depends on how pissed off they are or how much resources they have to do what they have to do. So just underestimating a guy, that might be the first step towards defeat if you underestimate somebody. So I don't ever underestimate anybody till you have the fait devant moi, comme on dit en français, and now I can assess you. But coming back to the Maahlox thing, I feel like you have touched a couple of things which are very valid though.
Yeah.
It's ego at play. Maahlox was trying to help.
Yep.
But bottom line, I get Jovi though. Business-wise, you are messing with his back. Because once word goes out that he's taking this amount, even if he took it or he didn't take it, we know most artists, when they go and do shows, people will even say that I'm going to take 5 million, but put on this thing that I'll put out in the press release that I took 50 million just to help my next bag that is coming. As a matter of demand and supply and my present value in the market. So, but you know who is Maahlox too? I've seen Maahlox really, about most of his things, most interviews, Maahlox starts talking, he might be talking a very valid point, but once they trigger him and he goes out of control, he starts saying he says reckless things. So I can see a Maahlox losing it and then going to say what he was not supposed to say and that's how some of these things start. First is you just saying that, man, I was not to say this thing, let's end there. But because all these egos at play, I would also say that I did something wrong. I'm like, man, I said what I said, deal with it. You two go at me. Instead of something which you can just be like, okay, man, it's okay. You be you, I'll be me. Walk your road. I go now to the point of I'm going to break your teeth when we see. Nobody will not do anything. I always tell people like the real people that will break your teeth will not tell you that they'll break your teeth. Don't play those games.
Yeah.
They are going to break you while you are sleeping if they must. So most of the time I just tell these rappers like, it's the show, but let's not forget that in America they have security, they have guns and the rest.
Even with the security and all the guns, you see niggas dying. Just yesterday, somebody died in the
that's what I'm saying, that with the guns and the security
in LA,
you can bluff certain things. You can be a smaller guy, you might not be physically strong, when you pull out your gun and you face a guy who is 6'6". But in Cameroon, it can really get bad. I mean, like they can beat you for 5 hours and you really cry and beg because you cannot defend yourself, you don't have a gun. So some of these things, I just tell people like, man, if you have really been out there like that and you know how things go down, you would look at everybody with a little bit of méfiance. You just, you don't play those games because you know when it goes down, it can go down. Just let it be. Don't say I can. When the time comes to can, just can it and let it be there. Don't try to play those games. Anyway, my next thing is, so I get Jovi's point business-wise being pissed off at the bag, but I feel like both of them let it go out of control. As you said, it might be miscommunication as you want to coin it, but I feel like the first wrong was done by Maahlox. So Maahlox should assume his responsibility and maybe apologize and then maybe contribution. Now, assuming that Jovi should be the bigger man and they understand the intention behind what Maahlox was saying, was trying to defend, yes.
Yeah.
But the first wrong step was made by Maahlox, talking about
the truth.
Bag in
Okay, yeah, the first problem was Maahlox talking about Jovi's purse and revealing what he thinks is Jovi's purse. But we all know this thing for a fact. They paid Techno. What the fuck do I keep saying Techno? Is it a fault that we have this nigga in it?
Yeah.
So, but the fact is they paid Techno more than what Jovi received. It may not be that amount, but that's the fact. That's it.
True.
So Maahlox was trying to paint out that fact.
Numbers-wise, it makes sense.
Yeah, numbers-wise, it makes sense because they're bringing somebody, blah, pay the flight and all those things. Yeah, it's supposed to make sense. Because when Jovi...
disparity in checks, borderline offensive.
Yeah, of course. But Maahlox's point is, the reason they pay these guys is, and that's why Maahlox even did that Paledo's point here, because they brought some foreign artists and they did not fill it up, right? Completely. And Maahlox said he'll do it to show these guys that we can fill it up. And
so what Maahlox should have done is talk about his own bag. Let him say, you guys brought Techno and gave him this. But when you guys called me for this show, you tried to give me this. Some sensitive things is okay when you're talking about yourself.
Maahlox was talking in the sense that, okay, these guys coming to this show are coming to see Jovi, okay? And when they come to the show, the amount you guys spend on Techno, that money will be recouped by the guys who will be buying to see Jovi. So you're using Jovi, you're using Jovi to pay Techno. Do you get the sense?
But you don't have to talk about his bag. If you have to talk about anybody's bag, talk about your own bag.
Okay, no. At that point in time, he's talking about a situation. There are two artists involved. He couldn't use Mings or Kosi at that point. He's using the two headliners, who were Jovi and Techno. Okay, at that point in time, how can he say Techno received more than Jovi without referencing Jovi's purse? How can you address the problem? How can you address a problem without actually addressing the problem?
Okay, so what he can say is the problem is you guys pay. Don't make it particular to this situation. It's a general thing. It's
a general thing, but that one was the prevalent one because Techno reviewed the amount. So they were using that one as an example.
Exactly, but it's a sensitive issue. Yes, but it's a sensitive issue of somebody's bag. So because I don't talk about Jovi's bag, I said, okay, you guys are paying this guy 100 million, but when you guys call me for shows, you want to give me 2 million. Because those things, no matter what, you have to avoid talking about somebody, even if it's not even a matter of friendship and personal basis. It does not look good for his business. One, you might not be very accurate. Two, even if you're accurate, I'm very sure that those numbers were mentioned to you on a confidential basis. So in no terms should you come out and put those numbers. So that's why I'm saying that it was a mistake in the first place. So however I want to put it, he cannot justify the fact that he went out and was talking about Jovi's bag. And to cut the long story short, you just say, man, sorry. But the thing too is, as I said, when Jovi has lost it, he goes extra. You are just like, man, I'm not happy that I'm talking about my bag. Me, even guys who know me, when I'm pissed about something, I don't even talk about it. So the crazy thing that happened in the industry I'm involved, I will not talk about it. I tell the person to your face, I'm like, listen, man, the person who is going to stab you does not tell that is going to stab you. So you just do what is right by you, or if you can correct this wrong. But just know that if you think that I'm mad at you, you just see that I'm mad at you. I'm not going to tell you that I'm mad at you. So most of the time when Jovi says that now, he aggravates the guy even more than he says what he's saying. He talks about removing his teeth and all of that. But as I always said, let's take it back to the lambda. What Maahlox did was wrong. It might be a Maahlox nature to talk out of hand and say what he's saying.
It's not talking out of hand. Maahlox is a passionate. Maahlox is a passionate Cameroonian who addresses problems that affect Cameroonians. When he wants to talk about it, he doesn't hold any punches. He used the raw and the direct words that are available to him at the moment to address the situation. Yeah, he made a mistake by referencing maybe Jovi's purse. Okay, he wasn't supposed to reference Jovi's purse. Okay,
exactly.
But addressing the problem, the armor and the information he had at that moment included Jovi's purse. And Maahlox doesn't have media training. What you're talking about now is media training. Maahlox don't care about media training.
So that's it. So once I've established you don't have media training, and you know, I tell people at times I might talk from a place of arrogance. I know. So once somebody calls me up for, man, you spoke to me in this manner and I felt like you're being arrogant, in the back of my mind, I'm aware that at times I might come from that place. The first thing I do is, man, I'm sorry if I came to you that way, but I don't mean it like that. And I try to explain myself. It's not going to be trying to defend myself and then insult you even more. Because it's not a new thing coming up to me. So if Maahlox is being known for talking passionately, as soon as Jovi cries for like, man, I feel the kind of way because of this.
Let me take us back.
You chop it apart.
No, let me take us back to when that whole thing was happening. Okay? When that whole thing was happening, when Maahlox did the live video talking and complaining about that, saying les multinationales, pourquoi vous prenez notre argent et vous envoyez ça dehors, when he was talking about that thing, Jovi did that his live talking about Maahlox na paper mon cachet or something like that, was saying that. The next day Maahlox did another live talking about it, still talking about the multinational and all that problem. Okay, this time he did not reference Jovi's amount, but he kept saying, but what these companies are doing is wrong. Maahlox did that for almost three to 4 days, almost a week. When Jovi replied, when Jovi said what he said, no, he did not say to his excuse. He did not say that, but he refrained from including Jovi's purse in it. But the reason Jovi's purse came into play.
The purse out there.
That's why. Understand this.
You say it once or you say it 10 times. It's already out there. It's out there.
Exactly. Understand this. That's why I said the media training, because the first one, when Jovi replied, he realized that the first one caused a problem and he wasn't supposed to reveal it. That's why the subsequent lives he did addressing the same problem, he did not reference Jovi's amount, but he kept referencing Techno's amount. That's media training.
But you see my point. I'm saying that.
No.
My biggest problem, even when we'll be talking about Jovi, the same thing I have all of these guys. I don't know who is around them and the teams they have. But
another thing to understand what you said, and I get your point.
What you have done is a faux pas. Apologize and let this end here.
I understand what you said, and I get your point. Okay. Another thing is, from what you just explained, it has something to do with male ego on Jovi's part. Like, you were not supposed to review my amount because that amount would tarnish the subsequent amounts I may get or offers I may get from next brands who will be approaching me for all this.
Not just ego, but it's
yeah, but it has to do with his ego too.
No,
okay.
I see. If it's an ego one, you don't need to explain Jovi demonstrating ego. It's obvious.
No, because from the logic you used and saying, okay, it would tarnish the next deals, it's in quotes saying another way, saying fake it till you make it, but in a larger scale. Am I wrong?
No, but always done in business.
I know it's always done in business. I know it's always done in business, but if that information is needed at one point in time to fix a larger problem, and you still complain, at that point in time,
it's needed
at that point.
And
listen,
Maahlox is giving it as who?
Maahlox is giving it as somebody who is in the system the same as Jovi. He's a complaint. During that same life, he said Orange called him for a show, to do a show. He asked them for, I think, 2 million, just 2 million, and they refused. But when they brought P Square in Afali Pupa and P Square in Cameroon, they paid them higher.
So that's all he should have been talking about.
No, because he's
with Orange, P Square.
Listen,
we're not talking about any other person's back.
Okay, listen. Okay, listen. Maahlox referenced his own back in the beginning before the P Square and the Fali Pupa thing, right? And he kept talking about it, and nothing happened. Then Jovi's own happened, and he said, "You guys see what I was talking about?" It's almost like somebody being angry that his brother is being mistreated. But the brother, because the brother has ego and want everybody to see like he's fine and he's not being mistreated, he comes at the brother for trying to defend him. That's ego. Because that information is needed to adjust certain things in the industry. He's complaining, Maahlox is complaining, he's giving out his own information. The same way so many artists are supposed to champion that information. Yes, talking as men, your ego, he has put out your amount, which is something you never wanted him to talk about or put out. He did, but he did it because he's trying to point out a problem in the industry and the problem in the company. If you still give, you should have told him, okay, don't call my amount. When Jovi said it, he stopped saying it. But that shouldn't warrant Jovi to keep poking him because of that same thing. Because Jovi has referenced that every time he goes live, I want to address Maahlox, he says that.
But do you think that if Maahlox had said, "I'm sorry for mentioning your bag," Jovi might have stopped poking him? Not trying to defend Jovi's ego here. I'm just saying that at times, we are all the problem until you see like, okay, because most of this interview I'll be talking about what Jovi has done wrong. Or most of the time I mention what he does wrong. But at times too, I can know that, okay, this is my younger brother's an anger problem. And then I take stones and I keep shooting his head. When he explodes, everybody's like, this guy cannot control himself. But if we really want to solve that problem, maybe I should have just stopped shooting him those stones.
Maahlox wasn't shooting stones at Jovi.
As you know, right?
Maahlox was attacking a bigger problem that affects everybody.
So, as you know, we are not trying to agree here. We are just contrasting ideas to come out with or to spark thoughts. I feel like let's not, because we have like 5 other names to go down with, and which we might be touching similar things, that the thread of ego might be coming out in different.
It's different, yeah, but ego, the only play here is ego, but it's different scenarios, different points of view, and different stages where the thing is at. Yeah, but ego
so which
is always in play. The next name I have is Magasco. Okay. So let me give a rundown like the way I did for Maahlox. Okay. And also Magasco has done an interview. Okay. And after this interview, he did it with Karawa.
How do they call this guy?
Karawa,
yes, Karawa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So from his point of view and what he said concerning that whole scenario, you already know his point of view and where he's at now with his relationship with Jovi and the way he views Jovi and the way he views the conflict they had. We already know his stand.
When you present maybe the background of the problem, maybe just give us a summary of what he said on the Karawa interview.
Exactly. That's what I want to do. Okay. Rewind again. Magasco and Jovi had a problem in the past, okay? When Jovi had a problem with Pete Bakadzi, and because at that time Magasco was signed to Empire, which is still owned by Pete Bakadzi.
Right?
Yep.
Not to cut you short, maybe also mention that Magasco was hanging around the New Bell crowd for a while when he just came from Bamenda.
No, I'm getting there. Don't worry, I'm getting there. I want to say how the conflict started. Yeah, and where Jovi's reply came from. You understand? And the thing Jovi said involves that thing that Magasco was hanging around Jovi. So it's a combination, because everything Jovi, the whole conflict and Magasco's interview, the explanation, all those things, you get the perfect picture, and all those informations relate, or let me just say they complete each other, like they match out. Like when you listen to what Magasco said and what happened during and what was said during the conflict, all those things match. You understand? Which mean, okay, this whole thing is something which is supposed to be said, done, dealt with, and moved along. But I still see Jovi carrying it. I just believe the reason Jovi is bringing this thing up now is, like I said back when I said, like I said a few minutes ago when I said he ain't gonna do shit to Maahlox, it's still hype. He's hyping this whole scenario now. The same thing he's doing with the names he called. That's the whole reason for those names he called. So Pete Bakadzi had a problem with Jovi. Okay, they were going back and forth on Twitter, and Magasco was part of the Empire camp at that moment. At that time, I think he was a poster kid for Empire, like the person who single-handedly carrying Empire at that moment in time, with the hits, with the shows and all those things and the features, you know, and all that. So Magasco came at Jovi and told him to stop disrespecting his boss, and Jovi called him, I've forgotten the name he called him, but he said, when two bosses are talking, you're not supposed to talk. I'll give you 24 hours to apologize. So after that, okay, because Jovi said, Pete wouldn't have signed you if it wasn't for me. I even introduced you to Pete and most of these things. Okay, it's like there's somebody calling me. Okay, fuck it. So okay, the thing is coming in here. 1 minute, let me just hang up.
Yeah. Anytime.
Okay, so I was saying, Jovi said if it wasn't for him, Pete wouldn't have signed Magasco, and Magasco was also a part of the Mumak clique, you know, the Mumak, and which is.
Asonganya is saying hello, guys. Maybe we just say hello. I think just Asonganya has written in the chat box, and the Cheryl is also writing FYI, something like that. Yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to read what was in the chat box and we proceed.
Okay, so Jovi told him, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have been signed. I wouldn't have signed you and all that. So what Jovi was referencing, because very few people know, and Magasco gave the full picture of it, that they were part of this clique Mumak, which was owned by Juice Nia at that point in time. That Juice Nia came to Bamenda, saw him and told him to come to Yaoundé and work with and said he liked his sound. They would like to work together to expatiate his sound. At that point, Magasco had the song Line Loba. Jovi just blew up with Done for Quad at that point in time. So when he went to Yaoundé, he saw Jovi. It wasn't like Jovi was the boss of Mumak. It was owned by Juice Nia. Okay, so they were just working together, like doing songs together. He jumped on Jovi's song, Jovi jumped on his song. Magasco is on Jovi's album HIV, the song No Way, still one of my favorite Jovi songs, one of my best Jovi songs. And one of my favorite Magasco songs, Line Loba, which was already making its name on its own. Jovi now jumped on the remix, Line Loba remix. So Magasco said during that time there was no contract signed when they were working with Mumak. Okay, there was no contract signed, and Jovi decided to leave to create New Bell Music when everybody was with Mumak. So that's how Mumak started crumbling and everybody started spreading and moving away. Right? So Pete, the way Pete found out about him is his song Fine Boy. Okay, because he said Pete heard the song Fine Boy on not just at least not just OK.com, that Nigerian blog that they used to download music from in those days. That blog. So he heard the music there, and so many Nigerians were playing it. And when he's, let's just say, in a public place, and he said that's my song, so many guys will refuse. Like that's a Jamaican, or that's a Jamaican vibe. And Pete heard the song and he liked it. So I think somebody told Pete that that song is owned by the guy who has that song is Magasco, you know. So it's Magasco. So he said, are you sure that's his song? He said it's his song. He showed him the this, that, all that. Pete told him he wants to sign him for them to work on Empire, because he said he has tried Empire and he hasn't taken off. He has tried with Doc Z, it failed.
Quick question. Now that's Magasco version of what he said on Karawa.
Yeah, that's Magasco now explaining why Jovi, the claim he had that said without him Pete would have signed him. The claim, he was trying to debunk that claim and said he had nothing to do with and why he took Pete's side. Okay. You understand? Because he said he's a family man. He's loyal. He's a loyal person. If he's working with you, if he's hanging around you, he always got your back. That's what Magasco said. So that's why he replied, because Pete told him he wants him to work with them. Now when Pete even signed the contract with him, Magasco said he stayed for almost a year, almost 2 years without hearing anything from Pete. They just signed him and kept him. And the day Pete said let's go, it was a go, and the hits started coming. Hits were coming. So Magasco saved Empire. Magasco made Pete realize what he was doing could work, because he has tried with Ex Malia, it failed. He tried with Doc Z, it failed before. You understand? So after that, at that point, Empire was just like a family. So Pete used to pay producers to produce songs for him and other guys, but he discovered that Magasco could produce. So Magasco ended up producing songs for so many artists, like in Empire, and producing Pete's own songs, doing hooks for Pete. Even has a joint album with Pete, you know, has reference songs that he produced for Pete, and Pazzo mix and master them. You understand? So that whole system, he was just like the backbone of Empire, the producer and the lead artist and the vocalist and all these things. Like he said, the part he made a mistake was when Pete realized he could produce. That was when everything he was just taking everything instead of receiving money to record or produce a song. Pete just let him produce the song. Just okay, he'll figure it out. He'll produce it. So from there, okay, going now to Jovi saying without him, Pete wouldn't have signed him. Magasco said that wasn't true. Okay, that wasn't the case of Jovi signing him. So fast forward, he said at that point in time, he took Pete's side and replied because he saw Empire as his family. And when Pete was going at Jovi, he was just sitting. He never knew it was happening. And his fans started tweeting and telling him, hey, you go shit down so they go at your boss. You know, go talk. You leave and let it talk so at your boss. That's where Magasco said, okay, he was young and dumb at that point. And they were going at the boss of his family, so he had to react. And they asked him when Jovi said he gives you 24 hours to reply or else. He said he knew Jovi was trolling and joking because Jovi wasn't going to do any shit. And Jovi did nothing. He said he did not reply and he did not apologize and Jovi didn't do anything. And he knew Jovi was just doing that for hype and... you know, but right now he's not with Empire. There were some things that were not working with Empire, so they decided to split. And yeah, right now the conflict, he has no problem with Jovi because they don't even talk that much. They never had a relationship at first because at Mumak they were just together working. It's not like they were close or buddies and all that. But now they don't. He doesn't have any problem with Jovi. At that point in time, he came at Jovi because he felt like Jovi was disrespecting his family and was standing up for his family. But right now, he don't think he has any problem with Jovi, and he doesn't know if Jovi thinks the same. But Jovi just recently now made us understand that he's still living in 2018 or 2017. You understand?
Okay, I think Jovi said in this particular interview in question, La Vie de Fidjil, that he does not reconcile with people. There are certain lines when you cross, he does not reconcile. So he's that kind of guy.
So what did Magasco say? That kind of a line. What did Magasco actually say that would make Jovi react the way he's reacting now?
So worst of all, when he mentioned PASCAL, the journalist was like, "What?" Even PASCAL, he was like, "Yes." Yeah. He mentioned PASCAL's name today. Say
I know.
So coming back to Magasco's case, I get in this one. I feel like maybe Jovi exaggerated the anger.
He's exaggerating because it's public.
So I feel like when Magasco presents it like he was with Jovi just in Mumak, I feel like okay, that's why I asked you. That's his own how can I call it? His own. He said
none of them was signed. None of them was signed. They didn't have any document, anything.
If you recall, there are a couple of new Bell music songs which Magasco is not singing in, but he's in the crowd.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it means that even after they've left Mumak and Jovi has created his new Bell, Magasco was still hanging around them. I cannot say for certainty if he was already signed with Empire at the time.
No, he wasn't signed. Because after Jovi left, Magasco was still indie.
After they have left, So it means that he did not end only at Mumak, even while Jovi was he has created New Bell now, Magasco was around New Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So secondly, I also feel that it's different when I'm with my grand, and that's another grand and I call that I think beside of my grand. But if this other grand is a grand who used to help me, this one gives me bread and chocolate, this one gives me tea. I'm going to reculate, as we say in French, and then look for a strategic way to give the most neutral answer possible. Especially in a fight of egos, where it's not like, what's his name? Pete was wrong or Jovi was right. It was just a battle of, I am the boss, you are the boss. And one of the things I feel like Jovi is, I don't think Jovi should be the boss of the label. He might be the talent boss behind the scene, but the corporate boss or the operation boss should be more of a business-minded person.
Yeah, it's Soja, not
Jovi is
Jovi.
too volatile.
Soja is the manager of New Bell Music. No, Soja is the manager of Soja. He's the manager of the company.
You have mentioned that before, that Soja is the manager.
Yeah.
But the role which a manager has to play of telling an artist, shush, chill, let me handle this, or putting out press release, or doing interviews. I don't even know the Soja's face. You should have been doing interviews to clarify situations, to de-escalate, as we say. So what manager is he manager? That's why I keep on saying that I have a problem with the team around these guys. There is a bullet role you play, or a bulletproof role you play, where you jump in front of the bullet and you're like, man, yeah, you put it off. You take the shock. That's your role. That's the only thing you can really do. You're not singing. So what are you doing? If you cannot handle the situation to protect the band.
A manager is not a PR. A manager is not a PR.
No. So in a typical corporate situation, you have the PR, you have the A&R, you have the okay, let me just say the
HR, the human resource, and the rest, and all that.
Some levels they'll have that they call it talent development or something like that.
Yeah, artist.
Artist development. Yeah. But now the manager is the one coordinating most of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So in a startup environment like Cameroon, where we don't have A&R, we don't have PR, you as a manager plays all of those roles in smaller quantities. You should be able to coach the artist with regards to talent development. You should be able to write up things for his PR message to put out there. You should be able to do interviews for him. So you should be able to negotiate this. So you should play all of those things. And that's what people, when you do management training, you do a little bit of marketing, a little bit of IT, a little bit of accounting, a little bit of, because you'll be called upon to manage all of these arms of a business. So if someone calls himself a manager, even if you are not the PR, you should be able to take some of those bullets in small doses, especially when in a startup environment where you don't have those arms of the business. You have to fill those blank spaces. So coming back to the Magasco situation, I feel like Jovi is exposed to too many bullets, and that is affecting his. Because whenever you hear him talk, you see that he's trying to go for a legendary status. But if your legendary flag has always been dragged in the mud from now and then, it's difficult for you to establish that status. And the best idea or the best solution for Jovi is to move away a little from the limelight, or somebody to share that stage with him where you are the talent boss, I am the administrative boss. I talk on all these kind of things, you talk on all these kind of things. Don't cross this line. So in that situation, I just feel like Magasco should not have come into it, but Jovi handled it poorly. And that's
why
also,
though?
like
because
the first one, I felt like Maahlox was at fault to the greater extent. This one, I feel like Jovi was at fault to the greater extent because si c'est un petit frère, je laisse comme ça, je laisse que c'est un petit frère. I don't start the same thing he went and did in this lyrical Joe beef. You start affronting the petit frère as if now he's your egal. And you're threatening him, and you are planning, and you are making all your superstar punching moves around him. It's not worth that energy. If you are a boss like Pete, go at Pete. This person talks to you, just turn and look at him one eye. You don't even answer. Just like a grandfriend, a quad, you just look at that paper like, you continue back.
Listen, you say something like, if two grandfriends are fighting, which both of them have, let's just say, assisted you or giving you bread at one point in time, right? You just have to find a strategic way to get in.
Yeah.
But Jovi and Magasco. No, Jovi and Magasco were not. Jovi wasn't signed to Magasco, and Magasco wasn't signed to Jovi, or they were not signed to Momak. They were just working together. It wasn't like Jovi gave him bread or handed. It wasn't like Jovi gave him a handout.
I don't know how much I've involved in the industry in Cameroon, but there's that tendency when people are better off, they start disrespecting those who look like their lifeline at the time when they really had nothing. So to say that Jovi did not give him any bread at any time, I don't feel like it's cool. For me, I don't mean bread like real bread, but I mean like even just the shine which he was giving him in those videos at the time when he was not yet a star like that was worth something. And I'm very sure, knowing how, but I'm just guessing, I may be wrong, but I'm very sure knowing how the industry goes, that if he was already putting him, giving him those plugs and that placement at that time, there are many other favors he might have been doing for him behind the scene. I'm just guessing, I may be wrong. But to say that he did not do anything for him in the past might be a stretch.
But in another light, it wasn't like they were just working together and they never knew each other and they had some kind of strange relationship. They had a great relation. They had some kind of good relationship because it's through PASCAL that Jovi found Tilla, and PASCAL brought Tilla to Jovi to get signed to Noble Music. It shows that they had some sort of mutual respect or relationship. You understand?
Yeah,
it wasn't like it was all they were just passing by. But I'm just saying, what I think about this whole thing is Jovi amplified.
I use the analogy of two brown friends. It can be interpreted in various angles, but I feel like from what we could see, Jovi was a grand friend to Magasco at the time. Not necessarily age, but in terms of positioning. So, and Jovi talking to Pete, that's one of the things I always said too. When Jovi goes at Pete or at Valsero, I'm like, you always talk about loyalty and respect. Okay, maybe you don't owe those guys loyalty, but at least I think you owe them respect.
Yeah.
But if you listen to this interview and the kind of things he's saying about Valsero, I just feel like, yeah, he's been dealt with his own cards, man. The same disrespect which he comes towards grand friends, that's why petit friends also come towards him.
The truth is, between, especially my own point of view, especially my own point of view with this Jovi and Magasco especially is Jovi is amplifying this whole thing because it was public, it was on Twitter, everybody saw it. So Jovi is trying to build on it. That's just my point of view. This is because there's nothing Magasco said that warrants Jovi to hold this kind of a grudge for this long. But based on what, if that is exactly what caused Jovi to be mad, I just believe right now the energy he's carrying this conflict with is just hyping the problem. It's just, like I said, his boss. He's just using that conflict to generate buzz because that was something that was made public. So he's still milking it. That's just my point of view.
I feel like this whole use of conflict for buzz thing, there's only as much buzz as you can get from one particular conflict. So
that's why he's still
talk about it.
That's why he's still holding on to so many of them. Because every time those conflicts come about, there's always a viral moment, there's always a tweet. That's why the more people he has conflict with, that's the more times, every time those guys talk or every time he replies, the thing comes up and it reignites the conflict.
Can we jump on the next beef?
The next one will be Valsero. So, as for Valsero, this one is fresh. Like almost everybody know this one and it's still fresh in everybody's mind. With Valsero, the original video when he was talking about, he was addressing the problem where Mr. Shine got locked up. And when talking about that problem, he was talking about artists not coming together and artists hating each other or feeling jealous for each other on all these kind of things. Then he started citing names, called so many artists, called Mings, did he call Kosi? Because I know he called maybe Avero, called Maahlox. I think he called Tenor. Yeah, he called so many guys and said there's no
so that's the Jovi effect. The only one I can recall is Maahlox and Jovi.
Yeah, so he said these guys don't have any solidarity among themselves and all these things, you know. Jovi now, because he called Jovi's name among all those guys and said, all these names, I'm telling you guys to come together because I see the Cameroon music industry, you guys are wicked or hate each other and all this. So he called names and say you guys should stop that nonsense and come together and work together. Jovi now went on Twitter and said and told Valsero, can't you fait ton truc là ne met pas mon nom dedans. He used a term and then he said you're one of the problems. We are one part of the larger problem in this industry and in this country. That's what Jovi said. So he took it as Jovi always does. He blew the thing out of proportion with his reply. So now Valsero too came back and told Jovi, this rat, you're talking to me. If I were in Yaoundé, I'm not sure you'll be talking the way you're talking now. You're just talking like this because I'm in France. Because the gangster life you think you have and the Bagando spirit you think you have, we've lived that life. And if I were in Yaoundé, I don't think you'll be talking that I would remove your teeth out. You're lucky that I'm not in Yaoundé. And to me, I believe Valsero when he says that more than Jovi, that he can do something to him. Because it's not the Valsero who will do something to him. Because of the time Valsero has spent and the age he's at, he has enough leverage to command that kind of act to be done onto somebody like a Jovi who disrespect him. And I believe if Valsero was in Yaoundé and Jovi said that, Jovi's movements would be restricted. If Valsero was in Cameroon.
Most of those guys are not as gangster as they sound, man.
You understand? No, I'm not saying Valsero is gangster. I'm saying the time he has put in the industry, the age he's at right now, and what he has done, let's just say, for the entertainment scene and the things he went through trying to address the larger problem in Cameroon. He wasn't trying to fix the Cameroon music industry. He was trying to tackle the bigger problem in Cameroon, like most of these unemployment, jobs, marginalized, all these kind of things. He was trying to tackle them, calling out the people who everybody was scared to call out. So he got dealt with. You understand?
Do you think he has a loyal fan base like that can go and fight for him?
He's not having a loyal fan base. He's having base after going through all those kind of activities. You rub shoulders or shake hands with certain people who have certain power in certain places. If you get what I mean. Because he's not in Paris, he's not in France now because he liked being there. Valsero ran to France, for most guys who don't know. And because of the assistance and the help, and because of the assistance and the help he got from the people who were with him while he was going through all those things in Cameroon, that's how he made it to France. So I believe those guys who have that leverage and that power, they are still in Cameroon. And if he wants to make use of the power he has and the reach he has, he can still use it. He can still leverage it.
So for me, like some of the things Jovi raised, I always say that some of these guys,
I'm not saying when Jovi said that everything he said was completely wrong. What Jovi said, he had some valid points in there. Like you talking about Anglophones now, I don't think you've ever rapped a verse in a verse in Pidgin or in English, and it's true, he hasn't. But when addressing problems, he addressed
for me.
Yeah.
Jovi might not be the most composed artist, but I feel like, before this one, so I feel like to a lesser extent, Valsero is wrong. To a greater extent, Jovi is wrong. Because one, I have an issue with the way Jovi handled the whole crisis, being a Jovi. So when he was asked in this particular interview about, and that journalist was asking him questions which were leading towards what the streets are saying, or at least what the industry is saying, or what online streets are saying. And he was giving his own answers, but I could see where the journalist was going at, or the interviewer, or whoever, the YouTuber was going at. He asked him like, what does Moko stand from? Because many people say you are sound like a street man, but you are not a street man. And he was like, Moko is a state of mind. Because he's not really a street guy like that. And even on the street is not like the street. The street is all about hustlers. And on the streets, there are businessmen, there are, there are pantsers, there are the people who are the soldiers on the street and all of those things. And then he said he classified himself like the pantsers, the thinkers on the street. So I was thinking to myself, like, okay, as a thinker of the street, when there was a real problem affecting the street, like anyone, be it a Cameroon problem or a Boko problem or an Anglophone problem or a youth problem, Do you really make your voice heard as a thinker of the street? Question mark. Secondly, as a grand frère, always reclaiming respect from people like the Magascos and the PASCALs and the. You disrespecting. He said that Valsero is a clochard. I don't know. You know what's a clochard, right?
No.
So in French, it's a homeless person, I think, or say something like that. A homeless person or a street person, something like clochard, or a beggar, that kind of person.
Clochard is like these barandos in the streets that live in tears and this kind of thing.
Homeless person.
Yeah.
So he said Valsero is a clochard, that they has met him twice and he was always drunk. And I'm like, okay, you might have met a grand frère drunk, but yeah, saying he's a clochard, it's a stretch. And you will say that there are certain lines not to be crossed. I don't think there's any line which Jovi does not cross. He said this guy's head is up in his A, and if he takes his head out of the A, he's going to whatever. And I'm like, I don't think there's any line of respect that you don't cross. So to talk about line of respect, I have an issue with that. Thirdly, he said, what did he even mention about this guy? Where he mentioned this thing of tickets. The same thing you're talking about the Maahlox issue, where he said, although that's why I find his interviews very interesting, although I might not agree with everything he says. He said they usually bring international artists and pay them a lot of money. Some of the things which you can change in the industry. He almost appears the man pour venir bâcher. And I started laughing. You understand the expression of bâcher, right?
Kind of.
Yeah. So almost like when you're on a bike and then they just bring one person just comes.
Yeah, because bâcher means when a bike. Yeah, of course. Like so when they bring these guys in the country and they're not. Yeah, you say when they bring these guys in the country and they're able to sell tickets, they bring him to come and sell the tickets. Like bâcher. That's a bâcher.
Exactly. No,
yeah.
But that word bâcher is very strategic because the person who is bâcher is not treated with respect. They are just attached to the concert. So though he's the one selling the ticket, but they just attach him to the thing like an extra. Yeah, he's not really the main act of it. He's
and
not
that's
respect. Like one instance we had like which artist came and they told him to stay. How did they even call it? They told him to stay out of the lockers. So the main artist left, then they asked other artists to come in. So those kind of things, that's the whole bashing thing. Bashing can mean a lot of things around that situation. So I'm like, that also says a lot about the whole situation with Maahlox, where he was fighting.
Yeah, that was what Maahlox is fighting
but you
against.
only talk about it from where you are feeling the pain.
Exactly.
So that's why I felt like there's a lot of contradiction here. They're raising valid points, but either you are this or you are that. Either you're like, it's okay, don't talk about my back, don't protest anything for us, the artists, or let's protest no matter what. So there was that issue. So for me, I feel like Valsero maybe should not have mentioned his name, but I feel like for me, grand frères have a certain.
In the context in which he mentioned the name, it was valid. In the context, it was valid that he called the name.
So grand frères have a certain liberty where they can a little bit manquer respect to a petit frère and it's okay. So at Valsero's level, his age and the industry and all, I think we can give him some liberty to do certain things. That includes mentioning people's names. And I also feel like I always said this thing, I feel like the Bokongang and them, they have given Jovi an unrealistic proportion of himself, which they cannot support him all the way with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. It makes sense. No, I see your point. It's like they hype him a lot. Like even I told you that for years now, ever since I started the channel, I've been fighting with these guys in my comment section on. So I just decided to say, you know what? If you guys want to get in the mud, I get in the mud with you. Like they even, I always say this, there were two of them, King Kong gang and Mboko gang. Those two gangs are so gullible. Like anything you see about all those two guys, Yeah, yeah. Anything you say about those two guys, right? Even if you give a positive criticism or not criticism, positive feedback on them, and at one point in time you just say you like
Yeah.
everything, but there was one thing you never liked. They will come on that one thing and
Uh,
start trolling you on that one thing. And I was just like, fuck y'all. Like, you guys didn't even hear everything I said about this guy, and you just picked up the one thing I
yeah.
didn't like. I cannot like everything about
So
somebody.
coming back to it, I also feel like no, but also
Yeah.
my biggest problem with them is they will support him on Facebook, but they will not put their money or their numbers behind with that same energy.
They did during the show with Techno though. They do during shows.
So I don't think it's about those shows. It's not just about the Boko Gang. You'll be very surprised that maybe even 50% of the people coming to those shows are not Boko Gang. I will pay to go for a Jovi show, but I don't consider myself a Boko Gang member. What I mean by this is I feel like what Jovi did at a particular time is being watered down because of all these other distractions. I feel like if you see the amount of support Etofis is getting around Cameroon,
Exactly.
Jovi should be having that kind of support around Cameroon. Where he wants his ways, like people should boycott MTN. MTN actually feels a dent in their sales. He goes like, people should not show up in this event. Like, people knew that if Etofis did not win this election of Africa Food, he could really go messy because of the crowds he was pulling and the way people were reacting online. Jovi should have that kind of support. It should not just end on coming to insult people on YouTube. They should feel their wrath in every sense of the word. But I feel like it's just about, I'm a Boko Gang, so what? Make it be felt. Because when it's all said and done, forget about the distraction. I feel like Jovi is the most Cameroonized artist, for lack of a better word, we have ever had in this country. I can hold that debate in any level of the conversation.
The most Cameroonized artist.
He's the one guy who in his song, you will feel urban, you will feel street. You will feel Frank Anglais, Pidgin, English,
Yeah,
French.
true. That's why he's who he is. That's why he, that's why he's who he is. That's why he succeeded to get. That's why he amounts or accumulated amount of success he has. That's why he has the fan base he has. That's why he has the reach he has. That's why he's loved in the French and the English side of the country.
The around him is not doing him justice. The negative thing is watering down his real image. I feel like if Jovi just stayed on his dumb for quad vibes and then was consistent and then left all these other things of trying to be too street, wanting to do what the Boko Gang is saying, going to fight with people. It might be buzz, but I feel like it's distracting us from the main thing, which is the music. And slowly but steady, people are being distracted and are losing focus on how talented he really is.
Okay, this the truth. The truth is, during this day and age, the age we are at now, music don't mean shit. The attention means a lot. So Jovi is trying to feed off that, because maybe in one weird way or the other, or maybe in one weird sense, Jovi has felt like for him to maintain his relevance, he needs to keep doing this.
So you have said something. Attention means something. Attention means something in the short term.
Exactly.
But the real music means something in the long term.
But the real music means something in the long term to the cause, to the guys who give a fuck about music. But the casual don't give a fuck about music.
No.
A casual,
But when it's all said and done, you are going to run through 6 generations. When I'm just talking about just Tupac, you mention the designer, you mention the, how do they call this other man, Florida. You can come and mention who else. I want to just mention different generations of artists who Tupac's name will still be mentioned every time they mention them. Because in the long term,
Hello? Okay, I think he froze. Okay. With the ambassador comes back and then okay. So from everything we are talking about, my own point of view, what I wanted to say is in this day and age, okay, Jovis realized that to maintain your boss or to maintain your relevance in the industry, he needs to keep engaging himself in some of these conflicts or these disagreements. Because if you as a logical thinking person, okay, if you view all the situations Jovi has been in and the level to which he replies or the way he approached most of these conflicts and most of the problems, you realize that he's amplifying them. And when he amplifies them, the way he talks about them, they say, "Law, Jovi is just acting like," they say, law of psychology, okay? People gravitate towards two peak emotions, very annoying or it makes you very happy. So you have to do one of those. If you're in between, if you choose to be neutral, you get lost in the crowd. You understand? You get lost in the crowd.
Yeah.
See back? Yeah. So if you stay in between, you get lost in the crowd. But the reason Jovi is doing this, they say book. I believe Jovi has read that book and that's what he's doing. There are two kinds of emotions that people gravitate towards, and it's always two extremes. If you're neutral, you get lost. Extremely emotions that make people extremely sad or extremely angry or agitated, people gravitate towards it. You either are too liked or too hated. You can't be in the middle. Or emotions that make people very happy, people gravitate towards it. Those are the kind of things that pull or control impressions on social media, online, and keep relevance.
And do you think it's working for Jovi?
It is. Let me learn. It is. Those are the kind of emotions that run algorithms in all social media platforms and all platforms and all understand. Okay? Because when Drake dissed McMill back to back, that was something that made people feel that was something that made an extreme feeling. It made McMill's fans very agitated and made Drake fans very excited. That song took off. You go to conflicts like
I don't think you can liken the Jovi case to that.
No, get my point. I'm not talking about the Jovi and the diss. I'm talking about algorithm being relevant.
No,
I'm talking
I get
about
your point. I'm not talking about
exactly.
this either. I get your point that they are using these emotions, how they are playing with these emotions to get people's attention.
Exactly.
But I'm saying
and that's what Jovi is doing.
When
if
they
you
play
ask
with
me,
emotions and get their attention, Drake has the real music behind it.
Exactly.
So when you play with these emotions and people want to look and they cannot see the real music, then there is nothing to
they
hold
move
on
away. But get this point. They move away, right? But when the person still get involved in another situation that will make people really agitated or very happy, that peak again, you still get their attention. So Jovi keeps playing, like when Jovi does that, it gets to that peak, it goes down. He does that, it goes down. He does that, he keeps doing that. And if you've realized for the past like 5 years, this consistent. Every time Jovi gets into these peaks or one of these conflicts or altercation or disagreements that he's tweeting a lot, he releases a song. Am I wrong?
So as a fan of the industry, my question is, what happens to growth though? Because from what I get from you is just trying to maintain its relevance out there. Nothing talking in the direction of how do we grow.
No, the point is, watching everything, how do we grow? We grow by, personally, okay, to Jovi personally, right? If he decides to say, okay, Maahlox said this and he said, okay, I didn't like that you called my purse, and Maahlox apologized. That, who the fuck's want? Like, who wants to see that? Like, most guys don't want to. They like to see these guys argue or fight, and that brings a lot of traffic. Jovi understands that.
Yeah, but I always say that when they fight, let it be a situation where they're selling out tickets, waging off that fight, like we are going to fight, or they are reconciling and printing t-shirts and making a collabo song and selling of the fight or the peace.
That's why I said
these guys are fighting. They're not selling any merch. They're not selling any records.
So at the moment, when they are fighting now, they are just fighting for the relevance without having material to put out. That's why I said when Jovi always gets to, or in the past, when he gets into that altercations or disagreements or that tweeting or viral moments that everybody's talking about him, he usually drops a song, an EP or an album. But now he has nothing to drop. But there are situations that warrant him to push or bring up this kind of moments again to be in the peak that brings attention. So, like somebody who thinks that way, you just decide to ride that wave, ride it, just keep it going. Just recently, he talked about when he had that, they say it was a music, what? That thing he had the live I was talking at, that thing brought that surge again. His name was everywhere in every media. So now he has another opportunity to, like, he's talking on another platform which is supposed to be public, and based on the outcome of the last one, he just decided to say, you know what, I'll just keep riding the wave until maybe he has a project he's working on. When the project is done, he release it. That's to me, that's what I believe is going on now with Jovi. It's almost an example of, for example, somebody like Kofi Covington. If you guys don't know him, if you watch UFC or if you're an MMA fan, you may know him. Let me just give a short, let me just say 1 minute explanation of this psychology and how it works. That guy was a great MMA fighter. He didn't lose any fight. He kept winning. But just the simple idea that he was winning fights wasn't enough for people to come out and see him. So the promotion company decided to cut him off. It's almost like it decided to drop him, which means he will lose his chance. It's the same company Francis Ngannou is saying, but this guy is in the welterweight division. So they wanted to cut him off because the company thought this guy was boring. Fans won't pay tickets to come and see him. He's a great fighter. He wins fight. He beats everybody, but he's not exciting. There's nothing attached to his name that will maintain that winning streak for a long time. The same way Conor McGregor insults everybody, becomes so violent, disrespect people, and people pay money to see that guy fight because they want to see the person that will fuck that guy up, or they want to see him do what he says in his interview online he's going to do. So this is what Kofi Covington did. His last fight, which they were supposed to cut him after the fight, was in Brazil. After that fight, when they interviewed him, what happened? Like, what do you think about the fight? He took the microphone and said, "Brazil, you are filthy animals." Like, the whole Brazil was mad. Like, the guy's impression on Google search 5,000%. Like, his market shares blew up. And the company did not cut him. They renewed his contract. And from that day forward, every fight he goes to sells out because everybody see him as a racist and they want to see that one person that will beat this guy up. Jovi is a dope rapper. Jovi does, like, when he drops music, you can't deny his art. But we are in an age, like the age and time where you need to control or to please people emotionally to affect them, to entertain them. You need to pull them emotionally, then give them substance to keep them. The same thing with Fish. When he said Stanley Enow didn't give him food and had that surge, he gave them quality music. That was what built Fish career till today. And I believe he's fumbling the ball now when he says he's not going to drop music onto somebody. He's fumbling the ball and that will die down unless he comes up with something. That's a fact. I'm just saying the fact. So, Jovi now, and Kofi Covington had a degree in psychology. So he knew what he was doing. He knew the effect of positive and negative emotions. He knew that he cannot make the whole world like him, so he'll make the whole world hate him. It's the same strategy 50 Cent is using. If you cannot be friends, we become enemies. Both extreme ends of the spectrum.
The thing is, all the people you have mentioned, I think is working for them, but Jovi, I don't think so. But I feel as I said,
it is working for him because we are talking about him now. Okay, during the periods where
Jovi means that I want to see
understand
Jovi
this.
doing African level concerts.
Understand this.
Making money. Me talking about Jovi, what does it give Jovi if it does not translate to money and breaking records and sales and growth?
For you, that's what you think right now. Okay, that's what you think right now. For Jovi, the the fact that he's in the limelight still gives him enough hope and that comfort that he's still in the limelight.
Listen, is still looking for the limelight.
No, everybody is. Every businessman is looking for the market. He wants to own the greatest share of the market.
Jovi has passed that stage. I mean, Jovi.
Trust me, it is. Every man, every businessman, every entertainer.
That's where our opinion about Jovi might differ. I don't think Jovi still needs to do this.
So you think?
Roles.
No, you think he is.
What you are saying about Fish might need to do that for us to think about him again. But I don't think Jovi still needs this kind of.
Listen,
how can I even call them?
The casual Cameroonian.
He should be at a higher level. He should insult Akon. He should insult MI. He should do that to get.
He has tried doing that to MI. He tried it at Sarkodie. Sarkodie didn't give him any mind. He tried it with MI. MI didn't give him any mind. So it didn't work.
He should keep doing that. That's the level at which Jovi needs to be trolling now. No longer at the Cameroon level talking about these smaller people. I don't think Jovi needs that kind of attention.
Understand this, okay? When Jovi keeps doing these things, it is working because we are talking about him now. Do you think the average Cameroonian every day sits and think about Jovi? No. Or do you think an average blogger sits and think about Jovi? No. But when Jovi does things like this, everybody start talking about him, and at that point in time he has a window where if he wants to release music or drop music, he can and capitalize off that boss at the moment. I know what I'm saying now, most Mboko gang guys may see as disrespect, but it's a fact.
Then what?
The boss he has at that moment translate. No, the boss he has at that moment translate to stream, and the small amount of money he wants to generate from that, he generates it, and that's a constant process. For most guys who don't know, this is what I just figured out with Tizi Panchak. Tizi Panchak is the most consistent Cameroon artist right now. Do you know why he keeps releasing music over and over? Because he makes money from YouTube streams. He doesn't make so much money on shows. Most guys, sometimes when I say all these things, what I'm saying are facts. Most guys don't accept it because it feels like it's a fallacy, or it feels like it's something I'm not supposed to say or something I'm not supposed to disclose.
The lifestyle Panchak is living is off YouTube streams.
No, it's not only off YouTube, but YouTube is consistent. Most artists' sales don't come from selling albums or stream. It comes from shows and endorsements and all these things. But music stream revenue is consistent. It's something you already know. It's almost like a landlord who owns a house. That house can't give you the amount of money you use in building the house, but it makes sure you have fuel to run your car every day. It makes sure your family lives on for a long time as long as that building exists. It's the same thing with music. It's the same strategy.
Anyway, I think we still have two guys to run through. It might be quick, but let's just run through those other two names. There is Stanley and there's PASCAL. Who do we take first?
Okay, after this we'll go with Stanley because PASCAL, we don't have enough to talk about him. But I just want to conclude on that note. Let's just know what Jovi is doing now is he's riding the wave of this until whatever he has to drop is ready for him to drop. Most Mboko gang guys who see like I'm talking out of context, or not like out of context, but I'm being so disrespectful. When a critical thinking person will know this. So read. You guys should read. I don't
disagree with you, but what I just added to it is I feel like that has worked for Jovi. It might still be working, but I feel like Jovi's team and strategies need more.
Of course it needs more.
That. I'm not saying that he no longer needs to do that. Added to that, they need more strategy which can take him to another level. We have seen this year over and over again here. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Stanley, maybe. Let's go.
I think we've been talking about Stanley for the Jovi and Stanley for the longest. Like this thing is just review. Like it's almost like when you write an AC and you send it to the teacher and you repeat some section of it, he just cross the line there and write sin. That's just Stanley and Jovi now. Okay, because just recently when he did that his live, he mentioned Stanley. That thing that was recorded was he mentioned Stanley, and Yeah, Stanley too has had his own, you know, his own things that he has said and done, and most of the time, like Stanley is almost like to me, it's like he's the kind of guy who throws stones and hide his hands. But Jovi is a direct person. He doesn't hide his hand. He's direct with it.
So I feel like people like Jovi, maybe, I'm using keyword maybe,
Yeah.
if they will reward people for being honest or frank, they'll be rewarded in heaven. But on earth,
No,
we have
Maahlox.
seen that
Maahlox first. I don't think
the beef,
Jovi is not completely honest to
the
me.
beef between Stanley and Jovi
Yeah.
is similar to what happened between Damon Dash and Jay-Z. So Damon Dash was going wild and still is going wild talking about Jay-Z. Jay-Z will never talk about Damon Dash. He will close the topic in a very, very, he'll just brush it over. Like,
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's in the past. What we did was great, whatever, and then go over it. Damon Dash will go into it and it's all the rage. And for me, the first thing that taught me about that is Jay-Z might be, when we came to realize like there's a certain lady, when there was this rumor that came out that Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce with a lady who was Damon Dash's ex.
Yeah, Becky with a good hair.
I don't know where Beyonce sang a song and said, what, pretty hair Becky or Becky, whatever.
It's Becky with a good hair. Yeah.
Yeah, Becky with the hair. And I was like, to imagine that Jay-Z might have been doing such a thing, and Damon Dash, it could be that frustrated because you are now dating his best friend or his very good friend.
Mm-hmm.
He's dating his ex or was dating his ex while whatever was going on.
Yeah.
And then he's looking like the sore loser, complaining everywhere. He cannot really go out public to say exactly what's pissing him off.
Yeah.
And Jay-Z just smiling and laughing, haha. But he knows what's going on behind the scene.
Exactly.
I see a lot of that similarity here in
Stanley.
Case of like, you are fighting a lost battle. No, everybody will see you like the sore loser. You are
Yeah.
a negative, a disfavor to your PR image, because people now look like, okay, this guy is this, his problems, he's disruptive, he's this, he's that. He cannot accommodate other artists and all of those kind of things. Meanwhile, the other person who might be instigating you and causing all of those things. So I feel like in this case, after listening to that particular thing he did, where he was saying that Stanley was making calls behind the scene for him to get canceled from shows, and Stanley was messing with his vibe and all of that, I see why he might be pissed off, but I cannot take sides too. Because sadly enough, Stanley has never spoken on the issue enough for me to have enough facts to match them against each other.
And Stanley will never. It's almost like Kanye. It's like Kanye and Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll do things that will piss that person off or go at the person indirectly. But because the person is direct and retaliate directly for everybody to see. Yeah, it's like Ye and Drake.
But at least they managed to squash theirs.
Really?
Not reconciling with him.
Okay, that Ye and Drake thing is a chess match. Okay, most of you guys watching and thinking they've squashed it. Okay, keep watching and thinking that. But I just think it's a chess match going on right now.
People are not family members. People must not sleep on the same bed. But they squash it and make a show and sell tickets. Perfect. After that, go back to your houses. You must not work together. That's all we need for the show, for the event, for a collabo. Say you have squashed it, sing a song, sell, get the international whatever we need, and then go back to your house and stop talking to each other forever. No problem. We don't care about that. So it's more of those kind of things. It's not like we want them to squash it. But I just feel like, if anybody has been watching this contrasting, they know my opinion on that. I feel like it's doing a disfavor to the industry. Yeah, so basically that's it for me. One, I feel like Jovi should stop talking about it that much. It makes him look like a sore loser. So
no,
I feel like
he can't, because on the other hand, he can't, because a few minutes ago we said why he does that and what he's benefiting from it. The limelight, the attention at the moment while he's working on dropping something. It's all about the attention. Attention is currency.
I hope he's really getting a good, how can I even call it, value for the attention he's trying to get, because I doubt. But I hope he's getting good value for the attention he's getting.
Yeah, but I just believe that's what he's doing. Okay, the last person is PASCAL. So I thought Jovi and PASCAL had moved past that, because I believe PASCAL still keep giving Jovi his respect, and PASCAL has never said anything ill about Jovi, and PASCAL is just like Jovi being a bully now to PASCAL. You understand?
I feel like Jovi lost part of the Mboko gang because of this PASCAL issue.
Of course. Yeah, he lost part of it because of PASCAL. Yeah. And he keeps going at PASCAL.
Number of the people who were supporting him were also supporting PASCAL, like our new
Jovi, exactly. The next in line for the throne. Yeah. And I believe that same feeling.
This way means you can treat us that way too.
Yeah, I believe it's that same feeling and that thought that made Jovi react to PASCAL the way it is. It's almost like, let's just say, a king having an elder brother, right? That elder brother knows if that king dies, he'll be... The king has a son and has a younger brother, but that younger brother's only road to the throne is if the king dies. But the guy still feel frustrated because the king has a son. So if the king dies, the son will be the king, not him. So the best way, the one thing to maintain that runner-up shape or that first in line shit is to find something to get rid of the son. You know, is to always make the son feel like, okay, he can't handle it, or give the son advice like, what your father is doing is so difficult. I don't think if you handle it, you'll break, and make the son denounce that, or make the son move away from it and just give him the space. I just believe part of it is just that psyche, just that aspect that PASCAL is the future or the next him that scared him. I just think he never liked it. I don't think he didn't like it, but I think it scared him a little bit. Though he was grooming PASCAL, we all know he was grooming PASCAL. Like we know he was grooming him, but just that.
He sounds very deep on the loyalty side of things. PASCAL might have done something to piss him off, but I feel like knowing Jovi, if he had ever done anything that deep, Jovi would have said it by now. But I feel like just those kind of petty, how can I call it? You acting like you are now a boss too when I'm still the boss. Those kind of petty disrespects which should not be taken too seriously. Worst of all,
to me, I believe
the song which he did, David need to sleep. Yeah, David need to really sleep, I think.
Okay, is that song we have?
Like that's that bad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This how I view this thing. Jovi, everybody like Jovi thought of the time, okay? Like, let me just summarize like this, their beef and my own point of view and what I think about it. Jovi brought PASCAL into the limelight, not into the game, because PASCAL were rapping before and Jovi found him, discovered him, gave PASCAL his first hit, Check Sense. Okay, that was a PASCAL song featuring Jovi, and I thought that song was a Jovi song, but it was a PASCAL song featuring Jovi, and that was how we found PASCAL, and it's because of that PASCAL's verse that song blew up. You understand? But Jovi had the exposure at that moment, he had the limelight, but the phrases, the catchy phrases in those songs, the anthems in those songs are PASCAL's lyrics. Like the opening of that song, like, so Jovi thought about the time he spent on grooming PASCAL, building up PASCAL, that no matter what happens, even if the family and the house is crumbling, PASCAL and Renis are the two guys who stay and cannot leave. So I just believe he felt betrayed when PASCAL left, when Kilo was leaving, Silla was leaving, everybody was leaving, and PASCAL also left. I feel like it's that betrayal that made Jovi feels let down, like he's grooming this guy like they knew him, the next king and the next this, but if everybody can leave, not Pascal, I just believe that's what made him go at Pascal like this. To me, I just feel like that's a real emotion behind it.
If you raise your child well enough, you'll be expecting them to leave the house even sooner than you think. Secondly, I always use the example, I can bet you Kanye has said worse things to Jay-Z than Pascal has said to Jovi.
Not only that, listen, we are even going too far like Kanye and Jay-Z. It's the same thing between Big Sean and Kanye. Big Sean now is an independent artist, and Kanye is slamming, bashing Big Sean everywhere. And Big Sean has been nothing but loyal to that guy, to that nigga. Kanye owes Big Sean $10 million, but Big Sean has never asked him that money. But Kanye said when he dies, he will be remembered with the biggest mistake he ever had in his life was signing Big Sean.
Why do you say Big Sean has always been loyal?
Big Sean has always been loyal to Kanye because Big Sean's song. Do you recall the song Blessing?
No, but do you know where Kanye was pissed off with Big Sean and John Legend?
Yes, because when he ran for president, Big Sean endorsed somebody else instead of him, right?
Exactly. So how can you say he has been loyal?
He has been nothing but loyal. The first time Kanye, Big Sean, and John Legend won VMAs award for the song One Man Can Save the World, right? Big Sean was the first person to tweet Kanye for president 2021. Go and check it. Big Sean was the first person to tweet that. And during the time when Kanye was running for president.
When Kanye went and supported Trump.
Not even that. When Kanye supported Trump, when Big Sean was interviewed, he said, man, that guy has his own way of living, but Kanye is Kanye, but we love him though. The thing where Kanye misread Big Sean, Kanye said Big Sean endorsed somebody else and spoke ill of him. Big Sean didn't endorse anybody. That was the first thing, but he didn't endorse Kanye. He didn't endorse anybody.
Anyway, I just heard what Kanye said Big Sean did.
Exactly, because Ye is almost like Jovi. Can't you get it? Jovi is emulating Ye. There are certain things you say. There are certain things you say. Okay, listen, there are certain things you say and blow out of proportion based on maybe emotion, passion, or hype, that if you ask the other person, the person will say, okay, this thing happened like this, like this, like this, like this, check the timeline. But if this person feels this way, okay, that's how you felt. But I do not think the person will feel or think that way or build that narrative in his head or mind.
Anyway, for the Pascal Jovi thing, I just feel like, Jovi is coming on with too much heat on Pascal, and Pascal has really not said anything. Secondly, a large chunk of the Boko gang are also Pascal fans. Because like, if you listen to that interview, the journalist was like, not Pascal too. Jovi was like, oui, Pascal avec you. So that should really tell you that a good number, and even myself seated here, I feel a kind of way. I'm a Jovi fan, but I feel a kind of way the way he's treating Pascal, because I would still want to follow Pascal if Pascal decides to start doing music full swing. So he might be losing maybe not the full Boko gang, but a semi-Boko member or semi-Boko members. By the way, he's treating Pascal, who might also be Pascal fan. So Pascal was already very, very in the family of the home Boko thing. So pushing him out like that might be destructive. As usual, as I said, Jovi is not thinking strategy like that. He's just thinking emotion.
But to me, from my own point of view, I believe the way they handled Pascal's album had something to do with him leaving. The way they handled.
But who handled Pascal's album though?
New Bell Music.
Yeah, but it's not Jovi though.
But Jovi has a say in everything that goes on in Nubian music. How can you say but not Jovi though?
Well, let me ask you a question. So do you think Jovi purposely say, don't shoot him a nice video?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Don't do him good promo.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is handling the album has to do with one, distribution, the funds, and the push. It is talking about that now. I understand is the same thing with Silla. Understand this. Jovi has an umbrella, and he wants that anything that comes that reach anybody, it's just like he has a tunnel, right? There's one door, but there are so many windows. But he wants everything that reach anybody in the house to come through that door. That's what.
What's wrong with that?
That's one of the rifts with Silla, but Silla was respectful enough to somebody approached Silla through the window and she said go through the door. So when the person went through the door and met the man and said, okay, this person told me to come through the door, the boss who was at the door got pissed off and said this person is receiving offers from the window when the person actually told that person come to the door.
Yeah.
So that was where the friction started. It's all about ego. It's just he wants to have full control. It's like but he has to have full control.
Never have full control. That's an illusion.
Yeah, it's a power play. I just believe with Jovi, right? With Jovi, it's just a power play. I just believe that with Jovi, all those guys leaving his record label was as a result of power play.
But that should teach him something that he might not be as strong as he thinks he is. Because when you are that strong, you don't need to tell people to stay there.
Yeah, because there are so many guys who have so many guys have been in Nubian music and left. Do you know Speedo was once in Nubian music?
Not the Yaoundé New Bell, the Douala New Bell, right?
No. Speedo has once been in Nubian music. Sadrak has once been in Nubian music.
Sadrak, yes, I've seen Sadrak in a couple of videos, but I asked you, like, was Speedo in Yaoundé New Bell or Douala New Bell?
New Bell started in Douala.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm asking that question, because I know there were some guys who were there with them in Douala, but they didn't. I did not see them again in New Bell things as soon as he moved to Yaoundé.
Yeah, because listen, it doesn't even matter if you're part of a team, a record label. It doesn't matter where the record label is. If you're part of the family, you're part of the structure. The structure moves, function with you.
It depends on what terms I decide to relocate. If the others are like, man, we have a free house here, we cannot afford to move with you, and you're like, man, it's better money for me.
No, understand this.
I'm going to move with the brand.
Understand what I'm talking about. Okay, it's almost like I'm here I'm here working with guys in Cameroon. Nubian music could still be in Yaoundé and work with guys in Douala. It doesn't make any sense.
If Nubian wanted to, and if the guys wanted to.
Exactly. So that's why I say most of these guys have been in Nubian music. And still the same thing has caused the friction, because in Cameroon, right, in as much as Nubian music is one of the record labels that has given us so many talents, that have brought so many talents to the limelight and exposed so many talents, Nubian music is one of the highest record label that has had the highest shuffle of roster in Cameroon. Think about it.
Also, I don't know, there were a couple of things which Jovi raised. I wanted to just run them by you, give me your opinion on it, and then we use that as a segment towards the conclusion.
Yeah.
So they asked him about the things that are disturbing the industry, and one of the first things he mentioned was the lack of a full-time entertainment media. So he explained that entertainment in Cameroon is all about the buzz, and everybody's everywhere. We don't have media or arms of the media which actually follow, like we used to have. Like Ebony was more about lifestyle. The Source magazine was about hip hop. So the Source magazine used to follow people's ticket sales, merchandise made, their houses. They used to really zoom in on the artists and really understand what the artist is about.
And endorsements
so
and all that,
the
right?
media in Cameroon does not. Yeah, he felt
It
like
existed,
the media in Cameroon
but
does not follow entertainment closely. They only look at entertainment when it concerns buzz and negative things. That was his opinion. What do you think?
it existed, but because, for example, there's Chakra TV now. There's is Karawa doing it? Let me see. Yeah, I think Karawa in a sense is doing it. Okay. And there was
Karawa,
and there was Molly Town. Like I always, every time they have endorsements, they release music, they do all these things. I don't necessarily talk about their boss or these peak moments or these viral moments. They have media outlets like that. But these artists feel like they get to a point in their career where they feel like they are bigger than some of those outlets.
They don't need the media anymore.
Yeah, they get to a point in their career. So what Jovi is saying now is he wants an outlet like Karawa, Molitown, or Chakra TV that is at a level where he feels like it's worthy enough for them to cover such informations about him. Because those platforms exist, but they feel like they are above it. There are so many artists. Do you know? I know Chakra TV and Itash tried so many times to get so many artists in Cameroon for interviews, and they still snub and they turn it. Like even artists who are not even A-list but mid-tier and all that. Molitown has done same. There are so many artists who have rescheduled live interviews. There are so many times which have said, I'm having an interview with this person this day, but that day comes and the interview doesn't come. Do you think I decided to say, fuck it, I don't want to do the interview again? No. Most of these guys...
on my data. Oh, God forbid bad things.
No, I don't use data, by the way, so I can do it anytime. But
so, me, I'm in Cameroon. I still think in data currency.
But the point is, what Jovi said, all those platforms exist. If he wants now, he can go and start watching each Chakra TV video, each Karawa TV video, or each Molitown video, or Delibi's podcast, because those topics they are just give an overview of everything in the industry, like everything.
So there are a couple of things I want to run through them. So in summary, mainly these artists are the ones to help the entertainment focused media to grow.
Exactly.
But when they grow so tall and they decide to cut their legs, then they all fall to the ground because you have cut the legs that help you grow so tall. So if they support, energy bounces off. They help the media grow. The media helps them grow. Then they help the media grow. The media helps them grow.
Exactly. Because sometimes when they grow higher, 1 minute. And as one thing, when they grow higher, they start looking at, media outlets maybe like Pulse Niger in Cameroon that can cover them. But these media outlets, they too believe maybe these guys are not up to their level to cover them. So they start complaining that these media outlets don't exist in Cameroon when they do.
Okay. The next thing he mentioned was the definition of Mboko, where he said Mboko is a state of mind. It's just the hustler state of mind. What do you think about that?
Cap. You're from Cameroon. I'm from Cameroon. We were born in.
At the time. Where your phone had cap.
We were born in Cameroon. We all know what it means to say Adefo Mboko.
Mboko.
That word has been existing. They have just revamped it.
He was just trying to escape where that interview was taking him to. Because he would have said it's about street. The interview would have said, are you street? So since he not want to go in that direction,
Mboko means street.
State of mind and
yeah, he shouldn't try to revamp. So what he's just said is
cap. That's why he went and landed in the direction of PASCAL.
Exactly. So man.
The next thing they asked him about valorization of the art, and he said he feels like art is not valued enough. There's no protectionism of the art, but as an individual, he tries to value his own art. Focus at an individual level, but there's no protectionism of the art in terms of like the rights of the artists getting their dues from the various streams and things. Yeah. What do you think?
We have been talking about this. Personally, I've been talking about this topic for years now. Even on Molitown, when Blanche Bailey said, "This motherfuckers just keep calling me." When Blanche Bailey said, the higher you go, the less the more difficult it becomes for you to get booked for shows.
Demand.
Yeah, because your wage gets higher and the more difficult it gets for you to get booked for shows. Who needs to value the artists if they don't create the leverage for themselves or for these guys to value them?
Okay.
Like, who needs to pay you for your art if you don't create the ventures or the avenues for this art to generate the revenue you want? Because if somebody is approaching you for your art, it means they've seen the potential or the value your art has, and they are paying you based on the perception, based on the value they give to your art. So you building your art or leveraging your art to a certain level, increase the level or increase the wage or the bargaining power of your art when they approach you. So when he's talking about it's not valued, it's not this, it's not that, it's because you sit back, you just put the art out there, you sit back and let the art grow on its own to get to a point where somebody will appreciate your art more than the way you appreciate it, or treat your art and milk revenue of your art more than what you can. If you can't do that, then I don't see any reason why somebody will value something which belongs to you that you don't value. I don't see how somebody will value something more than you. It's like you have a child and you want people to treat your child better than they treat you, or better than you do. So it's practically almost impossible. There's a saying somebody said, kids are like farts. You can tolerate yours, but you can't tolerate somebody's. The guy was talking about dating girls with kids, like that you can tolerate your kids or you can tolerate your fart, but if somebody else beside your farts, you start fanning your nose and you start pushing the person, but you can tolerate yours. That's what he was talking about. Kids are like farts, and so that's the kind of relationship you get with baby mama. So if you date a baby mama who doesn't respect her kids, just know that girl don't even give two shits about you if she can't tolerate her kid. So it's also the same thing with your art. Your music is like your kid. Everything you produce, everything you own, your brand is your kid. Your image is your kid. If you can't build that image to a certain level or to the level where you think you want it to be, the only thing separating you and the brand from getting to the level where you want it to be in is time and planning and strategy. It will get there. And if you keep building it, because if you build your art and you want to get to 10 and you're at 3, anybody approaching you would have to tell you it is possible to get to 6 or 5 before you listen to them. If you're already at 4 and they approach you with something like 3 or 2 and say we want to offer you 3 or 2, is insulting. So the higher you take your art,
for me, for me, I will just always conclude by saying that there is a basic principle in economics: demand and supply, which has a direct correlation regards to value. I can expatiate that in various levels of the game and various strategies you can put in place. But I feel like that has a lot to do with value. And then protectionism, it's a concept which most of the time the government puts in place when they see like there's a potential to affect their own interests. So if you can create jobs, you can appease the youths, you can add in their, how do they call it, the net worth of the country and things like that, the aggregate of the country, then they are going to put those protectionism, should I call it policies to protect the product. Now in this context, the art. But they cannot really see any serious potential here. My brother, I'm sorry. So the work has to first come from us. The government will follow, the international community will follow, but the arts in questions have to put in the work first to structure the industry and to create that demand. The next thing he mentioned was regards to talent identification. He said he feels like talent identification has a problem in Cameroon because most people only want to take artists or identify artists when they are already out there, when they already have experience. But he wishes that we could have more talent identification where they can pick talent up at the level where they don't have experience, they just see the raw talent.
So Yeah, he has done that. Like with Pascal, he has done that with Tila. Had a couple of songs out there when he found Tila and brought her in. Like he discovered Renice, and Renice now is a mega star. He's a big star in Cameroon, and I believe he's saying that thing from his own experience and point of view. But also let's think of it from another angle. How many record labels in Cameroon sign artists who are already in quotes experienced and made?
It depends what call experience and made. If you call experience and made the fact that Magasco already had Lin Loba and Gary and Kumba Market, then a good number of people already experienced and made before they signed it.
Exactly.
But
so
if you call experience and made the fact that somebody's an A-lister already doing filling up shows and having one of the endorsement deals, then
like
very
what,
few. Maybe
like
not.
what Empire is doing now with Universal. With Universal as a branch of Universal, like poaching artists from record labels with bigger deals and all that. Those are the guys he needs to be addressing, because
but I feel like what Jovi is talking about is trying to get the artists at the level even lower than Magasco when he had Lin Loba. So maybe going to school, chemes kind of things. Maybe I'm just thinking because.
Okay, in Cameroon, the way Cameroon is structured, okay, you the ambassador, you've invested in music in Cameroon. The way the structure in Cameroon is built, okay? When you discover that guy and you take him into your arms or under your wing, what do you expect to do with him? Okay, given the infrastructure we have in Cameroon and the things available now in Cameroon, okay? And the way the industry is in Cameroon and the way the structure is in Cameroon. When you embark on that kind of a journey, what do you expect to do?
It's an uphill task because even the empires are still facing a challenge in using those so-called experienced A-list artists. So it's even more difficult for you want to go and get somebody who does not yet have a name, does not yet know who they are. There are high chances that you are going to suffer with this talent and then some other person is going to take it off your hand.
Because I applaud Jovi for what he has done with. Yeah, because what he's saying now is almost like giving us a reflection of what he's doing or what he has done, because we applaud him for presenting guys like Tata, Kilo, PASCAL. Tila, let me just say, Tila was like Magasco when he had Wata and Gary and the rest before she got into Nubia music, because she already had some songs, you know, trying to build her own fan base, but Nubia music amplified it. Yeah. He's just trying. We applaud him for all that, okay? But realistically, how many of those artists actually get to a point where they can call their art a source of revenue?
Few though.
So, in a general sense in Cameroon, most record labels in Cameroon build artists. Most record labels in Cameroon don't sign artists who are already made. They build their artists. They build them. And Big Dream built alongside Loco. It built. Kosi was already building on a certain level, and Big Dream just amplified it. Stefan's music built with Daphne, belts with Daphne. If we are trying to pick out those names, what he's saying, what he's telling these guys to do now is what is existing. That's how the Cameroon model is. We don't have this money machines.
He's not talking about that Daphne from Rastafari to Daphne for Kali. Maybe he's talking about a school girl singing in a chemes who has no song, never been to a studio, and they bring her to a Kali level. That's another level of talent.
That's what most record labels in Cameroon are doing. But the reason why that thing is not so popular is that when you take that girl out of school, or when you embrace them like that, you take a whole responsibility into your hands and you stop them from achieving maybe what their parents want them to do, especially the school. We come from Africa. We should stop acting like we live. We are not Africans. We are Africans. We have a culture, we have a unit, a mindset, an upbringing, you know. So while we are trying to divert or explore or grow, you know, we still know we have a foundation which we are supposed to navigate through. Like, okay, you want to do music, you cannot just wake up one day and tell your mom you're abandoning school at Form 1 or Class 7 or Form 2, Form 3 and say you want to do music and you stop going to school. When you leave from there, you still live under that man. You live under your dad's roof and all these things. And even in Africa, there's one post I saw when somebody asked, at what age should a kid leave their house in Africa? Or at what age should a kid decide to be independent in Africa? That question there was one answer that just reflected everything. Somebody said, when you don't finally get hot. Because there are girls who are 35 who their moms and their dads still say, no, but that boy will stand with. You understand? So the way we grew up in
the last thing.
Yeah, the way we grew up, let me just give a final remark to that one. The way we grew up in Africa, it's almost impossible to adopt that mindset and adopt that strategy in Cameroon. We can only pick up guys who have gotten to a stage in their life where they can personally handle taking that craft and their regular life, as they can easily balance, not completely but easily balance, and we assist them with the music side while they balance the other side, like other labels have been doing. Because every artist in Cameroon, I just see like they do artist development to take them to where they are. Every artist in Cameroon, every A-list artist in Cameroon was built up by a record label, mostly, or with a crew of friends. Yeah.
So lastly, he was asked that if he is given an offer to leave Cameroon.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Is he going to take it? And he said sadly he'll consider it. And he really touched my heart. I was like, if the whole Jovi in the music industry
when I saw that reply, what I thought of was you.
It is true.
What are them that up?
So he went ahead to expatiate by saying that, because the journalist was like, really? He said yes, that because like football players, you are not valorized in Cameroon till you come back from abroad or you come from outside, and now yes. So it's a shame, man. It's a shame if Jovi is saying that. Then, I don't know what to say. What do you think?
So when he gave me the answer, he just gave me a mindset of where I think his career and his livelihood is. He just started painting some sort of image in my head, which most fans or people like me, we don't like to paint that about Jovi. And it's almost like you saying you don't want to know him personally because it may distort some of the perception you have of him.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So those are some of the suggestions he made and some of the questions he answered. Yeah. Basically, that's it.
Yeah, my battery is low.
Long run today. Yeah.
The camera battery is low, the headphone battery is low, everything is low. So I think we can call this one today.
Your brain battery is low.
Every battery is low. Brain, camera, headphone, everything. I'm even dehydrated.
Everything.
Like,
yeah.
So I need to.
You need it.
Yeah. Okay. So thank everybody who tuned in, anybody who watched.
Hanging out there, just talking about this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the guys, and we were early today. Not really early, but not late.
No, we were Cameroon time on time. Oops, your battery is surely gone, huh?
Okay. So yeah, guys, thank everybody who watched this video. If you watch this video, like it. And share. And this nigga's calling me. They knew I'll be over.
Share,
that's why you see them keep calling.
We are going to be doing this on we'll be doing this on Molly Town on Friday, yes, and then on Mondays we're on Chakara TV. It's just a spark of a conversation. When we say what we say here, comment your thoughts in the chat box, comment section, share with your friends. You guys have your own conversation based off this. Yeah, but we just feel like we need to start having certain conversations to spark thought or spark people to start thinking in a certain direction in the industry. So that was Chakara TV, Chakara in certain discussions with regards to Jovi and his various vessels. Delibi, are you still there?